Ramakrishna Hridaynath Hriday vich Ramakrishna Hridaynath Hriday vich तापहरण मधुर रूप तापहरण मधुर रूप दास को दिखाओ है रामकृष्ण हृदयनाथ हृदय Ramakrishna Hridaynath तेज पुंज दिव्य कांति हरत सकल मोह भ्रांति तेज पुंज दिव्य कांति हरत सकल मोह भ्रांति शोक ताप भय अशांति शोक ताप भय अशांति चित्त से हटाओ है रामकृष्ण हृदयनाथ हृदय विच आओ Ramakrishna Hridaynath तुम दयालु दीन बंधु दीन शरण दया सिंधु तुम दयालु दीन बंधु दीन शरण दया सिंधु कर प्रदान कृपा बिंदु दीन को तराहे देव देव राम कृष्ण तुम ही राम तुम ही कृष्ण देव देव राम कृष्ण तुम ही राम तुम ही कृष्ण पूर्ण काम विगत तृष्ण पूर्ण काम विगत तृष्ण भव तृषा मिटाओ है रामकृष्ण हृदयनाथ हृदय बीच आओ है रामकृष्ण हृदयनाथ हृदय बीच आओ है। ताप हरण मधुर रूप, ताप हरण मधुर रूप, दास को दिखाओ है। राम कृष्ण हृदय नाथ, हृदय बीच आओ है। राम कृष्ण हृदय नाथ। तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। एक तुझको अपना पाया, एक तुझको अपना पाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया। सबके मकान दिल का मकीन तू, कौन सा दिल है जिसमें नहीं तू। सबके मकान दिल का मकीन तू, कौन सा दिल है जिसमें नहीं तू। हर एक दिल में है तू समाया, हर एक दिल में है तू समाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया। क्या मलायक, क्या इंसान, क्या हिंदू, क्या मुसलमान, क्या मलायक, क्या इंसान, क्या हिंदू, क्या मुसलमान, जैसे चाहा तूने बनाया, जैसे चाहा तूने बनाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है, तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया। काबा में क्या और दैर में क्या, तेरी परस्तिश होगी सब जान। काबा में क्या और दैर में क्या, तेरी परस्तिश होगी सब जा। आगे तेरे सर सब हो।
खण्डन भव बन्धन जगबन्धन वन्दे तमाय निरञ्जन नाररूप धार निरञ्जन नाररूप धार निर्गुण गुणमय मोचन आघ दूषण जग दूषण चिद्घन काय ज्ञानञ्जन विमल नयन ज्ञानञ्जन विमल नयन विखने मोह जाय भाषर भाव सागर चिर उन्माद प्रेम पाथर भक्तर जानम युगल चारण भक्तर जानम युगल चारण तारण भव पार श्रीं हृत युग ईशार जग देशार योग सहाय निरधान समाहित मन निरधान समाहित मन निराखि तव कृपा भञ्जन दुःख गञ्जन करुणाघन कर्म कठोर प्राणार्पणं जगत तारण प्राणार्पणं जगत तारण कृन्तनं कलेडो वाञ्छन काम काञ्चन पते निन्दित इन्द्रिय राग त्यागीश शार हेम नार वार त्यागीश शार हेम नार वार देह पादे अनुराग निर्भय गात संशय दृढ निश्चय मानसवान् निष्कारणं भक्त शरण निष्कारणं भक्त शरण त्यजे जाति कुल मान संपद तव श्रीपाद भाव गोस्वाद वारी यथा प्रेमार्पण शमदार शान प्रेमार्पण शान जग जन दुख संपद तव श्रीपद भाव गोस्वाद वारी यथा प्रेमार्पण समदर्शन प्रेमार्पण समदर्शन जग जन दुख जाय नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनातीत नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनातीत मन वचनैकाधार प्रभु मन वचनैकाधार ज्योतिर ज्योति जल हृदय कंदर ज्योतिर ज्योति जल हृदय कंदर तुमि तम भंजन हार प्रभु तुमि तम भंजन हार नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनातीत नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनातीत मन वचनैकाधार प्रभु मन वचनैकाधार ज्योतिर ज्योति जल हृदय कंदर ज्योतिर ज्योति जल हृदय कंदर तुमि तम भंजन हार प्रभु तुमि तम भंजन हार धलंग रंग भंग बाजे अंग संग मृदंग धलंग रंग भंग बाजे अंग संग मृदंग गाइछे छंद भक्त वृंद आरती तोमार गाइछे छंद भक्त वृंद आरती तोमार जय जय आरती तोमार हर हर आरती तुम्हार, शिव शिव आरती तुम्हार। खंडन भाव बंधन जग बंधन बंदे तुम्हार। जय श्री गुरु महाराज जी की जय। ॐ ह्रीं ऋतं त्वमचलो गुणजित् गुणेभ्यः नाक्तं दिवं सकरुणं तव पादपद्मं मोहं कषं बहुकृतं न भजे यतोऽहं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो। भक्तिर्भगश्च भजनं भवभेदकारी गच्छन्तलं सुविपुलं गमनाय तत्त्वं वक्त्रोद्धृतोऽपि हृदये न मे भाति किञ्चित् तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो। तेजस्तरन्ति तरसां त्वयि तृप्त तृष्णां रागे कृते ऋतपथे त्वयि राम कृष्णे मर्त्यामृतं तव पदं मरणोर्मि नाशं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो। कृत्यं करोति कलुषं कुहकान्तकारी शान्तं शिवं सुविमलं तव नाम नाथ। यस्मादहं तु अशरणो जगदेकगम्यं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो। ॐ सापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्म स्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ॐ सर्वमङ्गल माङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते। सृष्टि स्थिति विनाशानां शक्ति भूते सनातने गुणाश्रये गुणमये नारायणी नमोस्तुते। शरणागतो दीनार्तो परित्राण परायणे सर्वशारति हरे देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते। जय 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 महामाई की जय। जय भगवान श्री रामकृष्ण देव की जय। जय स्वामी जी महाराज जी की जय।
नमः श्री अतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरे सच्चित् सुख स्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे. So we were reading the second lecture of Swami Vivekananda's Jnana Yoga lectures, Real Nature of Man. And as we said last time, the whole focus of this lecture is on the word real. And essentially, it's this subjective feeling of such and such thing is real, and we typically do not ask ourselves what it means for something to be real. And essentially, to say that something is real is not saying something about the objective world, is essentially the content, or one of the precise thrusts of this lecture. It is trying to find in oneself, subjectively, something that is universal, independent of the subject that is looking at it. One of the features that we typically believe distinguishes us as human beings from other species is this capacity for self-awareness, which essentially means the ability to look upon oneself as an object of study. Capacity to analyze oneself. This self-awareness is something that we definitely recognize in human beings, and the greater the amount of self-awareness, typically the saner and more balanced one's life. And most of our problems that we face in day-to-day life is typically because of loss of self-awareness. So when one is in the throes of anger or some passion, what has happened is that one has lost awareness of the subject and has lost oneself in the object. Yeah? So this self-awareness, if we have to really hunt for what is real, we really need to hunt for it in this self-awareness. Incidentally, just yesterday come across this self-awareness we typically associate, and biologists have been studying this for a while now, and initially, of course, there is this certain naive, privileged position we give ourselves as a species, and somehow that has been generally being eroded over the years. It's not something that is special just to human beings. And the obvious expectation was that, well, a bunch of primates also have this notion of self-awareness. And now that turns out to be only partly true. So the great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, etc., they do have this ability to recognize themselves as something separate from other members of the species. It's not just based on instinct. One of the famous tests which has been conducted for a while is essentially what's called the mirror test. Yeah? So essentially we tend to recognize ourselves in a mirror. Yeah? So that's really the kind of very crude manifestation of being able to recognize oneself as an object. So this is an image. It's not possible to see one's eye by one's eye, but we can see this reflection. Yeah. Now the question is, what about other animals? Are they able to recognize themselves in a mirror? This was a test that has been conducted over a bunch of years, and it turns out that chimpanzees definitely are able to recognize themselves. So it basically means that they do have a certain level of self-awareness, but it's not true for these common monkeys. It's not true that all primates have this ability to recognize themselves as individual beings. And something that is very surprising is that it's not something, this capacity for self-awareness is not just special to mammals. Apparently, there's this little fish called cleaner wrasse, which essentially goes around by cleaning bigger fish of their hide and parasites, etc., etc. So the experiment that was conducted was if we put a spot, say in one part of our body where we cannot see it with our own eyes, what do we usually do? We'll go in front of a mirror, see there's something like that, and then we'll try to remove it. The fish does exactly the same. Once the fish sees some spot, say near its throat, where its eyes do not reach, but it can see itself in the mirror, it immediately recognizes that there is a spot on itself. So it goes and it immediately darts down to the sand and makes sure that the spot is removed, then goes and looks at itself in the mirror again to see whether the spot is still there or not. Yeah. So these are sort of the kind of basic experiments that biologists have been conducting in order to understand what exactly this self-awareness is. So there is a certain scientific study that is going on, and essentially when we say that something is real, where will it go and end? It's essentially that which is universal, that in this feature of self-awareness, that which is universal in all beings having self-awareness is where the conclusion is going to go. Prior to that, there will be a couple of positions that Vivekananda will dismiss. One, there's a naive materialist point of view. The naive materialist point of view essentially says that all this is a chemical combination in our cells. Well, that explanation taken literally is far too superficial. Why? Because the connection between this objective data of, say, nerve impulses in the form of electrical currents or, say, chemical changes in our hormones and this specific datum of I awareness, of awareness of oneself as an individual being separate from others. In the Sanskrit literature, this is said aham pratyaya gochara. So aham is this notion of I, pratyaya is knowledge. Gochara means that towards which this piece of datum, this I, points a finger to. Yeah? So this notion of an I that we use to deal with our surroundings, with ourselves on an everyday basis, is some confused object. It's got a part of it which is conscious and the rest of it is the body, and typically when my body is hurt, I say I am hurt. Yeah? On the other hand, if the body has been, some anesthesia has been put, then I don't feel hurt. So it's clearly not something, it's clearly there is a certain subjective content, and the attempt therefore is to try to isolate this subjective awareness from all other trappings. That is the quest for the real, the quest for this self-awareness bereft of all other data. Yeah? All right. Now, is this just a theoretical quest? Is this just something that we are trying to understand purely from a theoretical point of view, or does it really give us something? Or is this inquiry meant to address a certain genuine existential problem? And the answer is that no, this kind of inquiry is essential if we are to be able to come to terms with some of the greatest ironies of life. And the first example that Vivekananda had given last time, which we had read, was the fact that all of us are mortal, we'll die. And he puts it rather poetically there. The question must come again and again, is death the end of all these things to which we are clinging to which we are clinging as if they were the most real of all realities, the most substantial of all substances? And then comes the crucial statement. The world vanishes in a moment and is gone. So essentially, the world as we know it today is going to cease, because our entire awareness of this world is through our sense data. All that is definitely going to cease at death. This is a certain existential fact. There's no point in denying it. Yeah. And then what is the psychological reaction to it? Standing on the brink of a precipice beyond which is the infinite yawning chasm, every mind, however hardened, is bound to recoil and ask, is this real? What does it mean, is this real? Is this world as we know it that ceases to be at death, is this world real? The hopes of a lifetime, built up little by little with all the energies of a great mind, vanish in a second. Hopes of a lifetime. First one was the material world as we knew it. The second is all our subjective aspirations. All these vanish. And here is then the internal world as we know it also vanishes. And therefore, the question, are they real? This question must be answered. Time never lessens its power. On the other hand, it adds strength to it. So the first question is really about reality. And if you try to read between the lines of what Vivekananda is trying to say here, when we are asking questions about both the objective universe as well as our subjective universe, and asking whether it's real, what we really are asking is this permanent? And clearly the answer is no, it's not permanent. Our perception of the world as we know it is not permanent. Our perception of our inner world as we know it now, it's not permanent. What then is permanent? And somehow or the other, we are hardwired as species to seek out some kind of permanence. The very fact that we try to seek stability in our lives, stability in terms of the habitat we live in, all of it goes to indicate that there is a certain stability and permanence that we are seeking. And part of the reason why we do not address these questions is basically because we are afraid of this underlying impermanence of everything that conditions our lives. The first bunch of questions that Vivekananda raises here forces us to face this irony boldly. Yeah? It's a fact of life. There is no point in getting emotionally agitated about it, but accept it as a datum. This is a fact of life. How do we address it? How do we condition our subjective response to this irony of our existence which is going to cease? This is the first issue. Second, then there is the desire to be happy. So first, quest for permanence, now the quest for joy. Then there is the desire to be happy. We run after everything to make ourselves happy. We pursue a mad career in the external world of the senses. If you ask the young man with whom life is successful, he will declare that it is real. See how he is combining these two together. The quest for joy and the quest for reality, permanence. Yeah. So for a person who is joyful, who has joy from the life he leads, automatically, if it's an uninquiring mind, automatically this tends to say that no, this life, it brings me joy, it is real. Yeah. So the young man to whom life is successful will declare that it is real. And he really thinks so. Perhaps when the same man grows old and finds fortune ever eluding him, he will then declare that it is fate. See, again, both of these statements, when in a happy situation, oh, this is all very real. And then this rather fatalistic outlook, when things are not going one's way, oh, it's destiny, it's fate. These are sort of stories we tell ourselves to handle situations that are there around us. Yeah. Either that this is real in some absolute sense, which it is not, or if there is something, some unfortunate circumstances that we are in, that it is a product of some destiny about which we have no control, and therefore we are sort of playthings in the hands of nature. Neither is, and the one thing that is required is not something we do, namely inquire into the circumstances in terms of our subjective response to the situation. When something is going our way, asking ourselves, how does this condition my being? Is my being dependent on these happy circumstances? Question one. Similarly, as in anybody's life, there will be a time when things will not be going our way. Instead of saying, oh, this is fate or destiny, ask the more basic question: how does this unfortunate set of circumstances condition my being? Am I susceptible to them? Am I really the essence of my being? Is it really a creature of these circumstances? So both in situations which are happy and in situations we are unhappy, in situations that are unhappy, the basic question that needs to be addressed is, how does any of these external circumstances determine the essence of my existence? But that question, in order to be able to even ask that question, what is it that we need to focus on? It's what we started this discussion with, this self-awareness. Awareness of oneself as the psychophysical being in a set of circumstances. In Sanskrit, this has a certain term, sakshi bhav, basically being witness to oneself in the middle of circumstances, happy or sad. Okay. Perhaps when the same man grows old and finds fortune ever eluding him, he will then declare that it is fate. He finds at last that his desires cannot be fulfilled. Wherever he goes, there is an adamantine wall beyond which he cannot pass. Every sense activity results in a reaction. And then the concluding statement. Everything is evanescent, which means nothing is permanent. Enjoyment, misery, luxury, wealth, power, and poverty. And see, he puts all the pairs of opposites: enjoyment, misery, power and wealth on the one hand, poverty on the other. Even life itself are all evanescent. And these facts are brought home to us with a certain amount of force when, say, a loved one dies. So there is a certain part of us which, human beings find it difficult, not just human beings, as we were saying last time, almost all animal species find it hard to come to terms with death. Why? Because somehow or the other we have associated ourselves with this limited conditional existence, and therefore with death we seem to assume that I cease to be. This is the cause of the most fundamental fear that drives any of us, the fear of losing the instrument through which we have anything that we do. Anything that we have, that we regard as part and parcel of ourselves, is by the means of our identification with this individual body. And this individual body definitely is going to cease at death. But all the reactions that we have, namely, what exactly is this fear then? It's a certain fear of the unknown. Vivekananda has quoted the Kathopanishad at the beginning of this paragraph. What does the Kathopanishad start with? The core of the Upanishad. Nachiketa asking Yama. This is an apocryphal story, but the story is supposed to address a certain truth. Yeah? So, but typically what happens is that when we say a kind of collection of facts in dry philosophical terms, they don't dawn on our consciousness because they don't appear real. They don't appear connected to our existence. On the other hand, if it's a story about some mythical beings, well, say fiction or whatever, it's essentially the person's life that we are participating in, and the question somehow feels more real. But that's essentially just the medium. Yeah, the core substance of it does not change whether it's in the form of a story or whether it's dry philosophical fact. Yeah. All right. So what is the start of this Upanishad? So Nachiketa asks Yama. Yama is supposed to be the god of death. Yeah. So essentially, it's asking of death itself. It's an enquiry. I mean, if you want to think of it as a subjective enquiry, it's facing one's own death and asking, what is it that lies beyond? And then Yama is supposed to ask, give a couple of boons, and with the third boon, the real enquiry starts. What is that enquiry? And this was outlined at the beginning of this paragraph, saying that after death, some people say one is not, some people say one is. What is the truth? And being an Upanishad, it goes to the core of the matter. It does not manufacture some mythological story. It tries to analyze this problem, and essentially what the answer is that both are right. As an individuated being, one ceases to be. But as a conscious principle, which is universal, undying, uncreated, unborn, there is no death. And the irony of human existence, or for that matter, all existence, is that it conflates these two. It imposes the characteristics of that which is conscious, pure consciousness without being born, without dying, on that which is changeful and hence subject to birth and death. And this confusion between these two facets of our being, the one permanent, the other totally impermanent, is what gives rise to what we call life. Now, the essential point, finally the instruction, because if one is really after the permanent, the kind of instruction that Yama imparts to Nachiketa as the Upanishad progresses is basically, in one word, the capacity for viveka, discrimination, analytical thinking. That's the heart of the argument. Yeah, essentially recognize in oneself that which is permanent, recognize in oneself that which is impermanent. This is not something that's a subject of armchair philosophy. It is at least as rigorous and a piece of enquiry as any kind of science, except that it's trying to identify that which is universal in the human subject, yeah? The subject as opposed to the object. All right. Now, this is really the answer that is given by the Kathopanishad. Here, what Vivekananda will be doing is essentially, as in the previous lecture, he will come up with more historical answers. Historical answers which are trying to move towards the truth without having really arrived there. So part of it is going to be mythological, just as we said now. There's a story, but the problem with mythology is that there's a story, and typically we just adopt the story itself as something true, and we do not try to get at the core of the story to see what exactly is the core factual content. Instead, we try to sort of lose ourselves in the myth. But when there is a mythology, what it is trying to do is that through these stories, it is trying to communicate a truth. The story is not the truth, but what is the content? And this content will yield some genuine output for us subjectively, only provided we can penetrate through this outer covering of the story. So, then on the other hand, there is this other completely materialistic point of view, which basically says, oh, there's no point in trying to inquire into this. But that's not going to succeed, essentially because these existential problems are very real. Yeah? So these are the two positions. One is played off against the other. And what is the output? If you play off these two opposing positions against one another, and there is truth in both. The purely materialistic position basically says that, no, none of this is permanent. Essentially says that, yeah, as a body, as an individuated being, nothing is permanent. True. On the other hand, so that will be contrasted with the mythological position, which keeps on making all these manufacturing various stories of trying to tell ourselves, no, in spite of the fact that I die as this body, there will be some other body, etc., etc., etc. All of it is really trying to propagate this body myth. And so these two positions, the materialistic and the mythological, will be pitched against each other. It will remove the dross from each other, and one will try to extract from out of these something that underlies both. And if we take two opposing positions which have a common truth, which they are both not quite accepting, and they pitch these two against each other, what will happen is that the dross in both positions will be thrown away and the common truth in both will come out. That's the kind of strategy that we'll be adopting now. And that's what he says here. Two positions remain to mankind. One is to believe with the nihilists that all is nothing, that we know nothing, that we can never know anything either about the future, the past, or even the present. For we must remember that he who denies the past and the future and wants to stick to the present is simply a madman. One may as well deny the father and mother and assert the child. It would be equally logical. To deny the past and future, the present must inevitably be denied also. Here, there is an allusion. I mean, if you read Vivekananda between the lines, you'll see that there are allusions to various Upanishadic statements. Here, it's actually a reference to something in what is called the Mandukya Karika. This is a commentary on the Mandukya Upanishad. Adavante chayannasti vartamanepi tattatha. That which we say is not there in the past, which is not there in the future, is not there in the present. Yeah. What does it really mean? So essentially, what it means is that when we are declaring something to be real and the condition for reality is permanence, then it is something that is not conditioned by time. Again, just yesterday, there is this biography of Einstein, where basically it's a quote that is misattributed to Einstein, but it's really something along these lines. Essentially says that as a species, space and time are sort of modes by which we understand reality. But who is it that understands? And can we separate that part of our being from these modes of thought? And do we have experimental or experiential evidence for us as a species being able to exist where space and time do not? And indeed, there is in our day-to-day experience something that does happen to us. So, for example, when we dream, there is this internal world that we conjure and we live there. Yeah? There is an individual that we call I in our dreams, and there is this bunch of circumstances which we call the other in our dreams. So, it's a manufacturing within our own consciousness, something that is me, something that is the other. But what happens in deep sleep when dreams have ceased? time itself, the subjective notion of time ceases. The subjective notion of space ceases. So, what one is really trying to do is essentially take one's entire subjective experience and put it out there on our laboratory table. Yeah. Essentially be aware of all these parts of one's being. That's really the objective. So it's if one is able to see the waking, the dream, and the deep sleep state as sort of functions, as modes of our being equally, then one has identified oneself with one's being in its most integrated form. That is one of the ends of this, one of the aims of this enquiry. Yeah. So this is really what Vivekananda is alluding to here, namely that this modes, these present, past, present, and future, these are certain modes of our mind. Yeah. So one has to, if one recognizes the past, one is recognizing the present, one is recognizing the future. Basically, one is recognizing oneself as being conditioned by time. Okay. This is one position, that of the nihilists. I have never seen a man who could really become a nihilist for 1 minute. It is very easy to talk. Then there is the other position, to seek for an explanation, to seek for the real, to discover in the midst of this eternally changing and evanescent world whatever is real. In this body, which is an aggregate of molecules of matter, is there anything which is real? This has been the search throughout the history of the human mind. And here he will come to a different phase of this enquiry. I will not start this today. We will start this because it's going to be the other endpoint. So the first position that has been dismissed has been the nihilistic one. It's not quite satisfactory because it does not basically says, okay, let us accept this workaday life as it is and basically say that no enquiry is possible. Well, the point is somebody is interested in something that, so if somebody is interested in that enquiry, in trying to find the sum and substance of what is it that conceives of time as a mode, and one says, no, there's no point in that enquiry, well, you go your way, let me go mine. That's sort of the response. So this is a very naive and superficial nihilistic response. Yeah, it's essentially trying to stamp out that query. The next thing that we'll be coming to are some kinds of mythological explanations, but then we'll have to remove that encrustation, yeah, and try to arrive at the factual content which is hidden by various stories. We'll come to that in the next class, but let me leave you with this really, what is leading to these sort of tentative answers. What is the question? And that is summarized in the first part of this paragraph. Then there is the other position, to seek for an explanation, to seek for the real, to discover in the midst of this eternally changing and evanescent world whatever is real. In this body, which is an aggregate of molecules of matter, is there anything which is real? Which means, again, is there something that is permanent? This has been the search throughout the history of the human mind. So it is trying to find, in the midst of all our subjective experience, some evidence of what we call permanent, what we call real. And this query is really the science of the spirit. Yeah? That which is universal in everybody's experience, which will outlast the individual's existence. That's what one is after. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ram.